Okay, so I just made myself a cup of tea. I'm going to be washing up in a bit. Before I do that, I thought I'd let you know how to heal yourself, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally. There's a simple path to walk, to feel better. Right. Ah. So let's say you're physically not feeling very well. It's all about listening to yourself, right? Listening to your body, listening to your own mind, being aware of your emotions and about yourself and why you react the way you do if it's emotional, what your thought patterns are if it's something that makes you feel a bit mental or an intelligence based problem. If it's physical, you've got to understand how you usually deal with things and then try a different way. I'm going to give you a really simple path, all right? And I'm going to put it in a way that lets you understand. I'm going to touch on two simple things, all right? Numbers and letters. Numbers are why we use numbers for different levels of understanding, whether you build it up, whether it's along a path, right? That way, we segment it, right? Now that sounds a little bit like cement, segment it, right? And I'm going to try and not, for a wordy sort of guy who likes to write, I've read a lot of poetry and things, and understands what words mean. Letters let you understand the depths and the stages, all right? So that's why we use words, to let each other understand. Numbers none. And what I mean by none is if this was an entire block of knowledge, what they do is taking it in the different levels and segmenting it. It numbs the feeling of being overwhelmed. If you were to try and understand a 3-year course in the education system all at once, right? You think, oh, it makes me head hurt, right? Yeah. So what we do is we segment it and we give it numbers. We call them levels and give them different names so that we can understand what level they're at. All right. So numbers numb the feeling of being overwhelmed because we can take it in little chunks, in little segments, and that helps us cement the knowledge in a good solid foundation. All right. So let's touch on emotions, mental and physical, and this is part of building your own EMP. I'm going to write a book on that one day. It's already in my head, but you know, I like to talk things as well. Physically, if you're in pain or you're suffering from an injury, people tend to sort of like reach for the medicine cabinet, right? Now what I'm saying is, I'm not saying don't do that. I'm not going to sort of jump straight in there and say, oh know medication's bad. Well, there's lots of things in there that you don't know are in there, right? What I am going to say is, let's say there's pain, right? And we use numbers to understand it. What I'm saying is, if you are injured, you know, talking to sports people for injuries, or even walking down the street, you trip over, or you've got any sort of pain or injury, right? Don't throw medication at it at stage 1. Try other things first. Now, I've had an MRI scan back in 2016, and they told me that, you know, I had sort of like damage to my spine and things, and they were looking at operations and things like that. So I chose not to go down the operation route, and sort of carried on, really. Not going to go into all the experience of that. I'm going to put me in for another MRI soon to see what was off. But what I found after sort of like about a year and a half ago, and we sort of like I was sort of limping, I could hardly walk, and I was in a lot of pain. I had a lot of pain. I didn't take any medication. If you can only move your leg a little bit, the thing to do is keep moving it that little bit and add to it wherever possible. Whether you push your boundaries a little bit each time, yeah, and you can go into, you know, all the longest journeys, all of the smallest steps, and all of these really sort of like cool quotes. You got to do it. Now, what happens with medication? Say if you've got an headache, right, another pain, and you take a pill, what happens is it numbs the signal. It doesn't heal you. Right? A lot of the medication that you take, it doesn't heal you. What it does is it turns off the signal, the particular signal. Your body uses pain to let you know there's a problem. Oi, there's pain here, right? It's like a sensor, right? So you're notified by your body, right, that there's some area that needs attention. All right. Once the pain's sort of done its job, once you start addressing that properly, the pain will reduce because your body knows that you're addressing it, because that's how your mind and your body and all these sort of like interaction, that's how it works, right? It knows when you're doing it. It knows when you're not. Now, if you block the signal, what that says to your body is, oh, don't particularly have to heal myself too fast because I'm not particularly bothered. Same as when they tell you to rest, right? Yeah, what does he write on tombstones? You know? Don't rest, use it or lose it, right? Because what happens is, a bit like the medication, if you've got an injury and you just rest it, they might say it heals quicker. What actually happens is your body thinks, whoa, I don't have to do anything, so I can take my time healing this injury because we're not really doing anything else, so we can just heal slower. Your body's really efficient, right? Your mind and your sort of electrical systems, you can put it in computer sense if it makes you any easier to understand, but your programming will just say, because it wants to find the most efficient way to heal, it'll just say we've got ages. It's a bit like, you know, when you're driving a car and if you've got one of them sort of like predicted mileage things that depending on how fast you're going, right, it tells you on how many miles you're going to be able to do. It's a sort of simple way to explain it. Well, if you're going fast, it says you're going to get less miles. If you're going slow, it says you're going to get more miles. Well, if you think about that in the time, if you're going fast and you're doing something, or as much as you can, with the other areas of your body that are not affected as much, that can still do things, you're going to heal faster, because the injured part of your body needs to catch up to the rest of it to be an efficient system. If you're moving slow, it's going to take longer to heal, because it thinks it doesn't have to catch up to the other areas of the body. So let's just take its time. That's what happens. So if you try these other things, and you know your own level of pain, somebody's level of pain would describe it as a 3, somebody else it might be an 8. Your own personal experience with pain, you know what your pain is. If it's getting to the unbearable level, up here, then yeah, fair enough. If you feel like you want to, or you need to, not that you want to, not that, oh, I want this to be gone, so I'm going to take some medication. If you need it to function, then there's a fair enough sort of argument for it. Don't do it because you want it, do it because you need it. You need to recover more than you need to mask the signals to your body, right? So that's on a physical point, how to heal yourself physical. Do as much as you can do. Learn about your pain. Once you recognise your pain and you go, yes, pain, I hear you, right? I'm paying attention. Your pain will reduce, even if it goes from a 5 to a 4, right? It's still going to reduce. You manage your own experience with pain, pleasure. They can all get out of control. So it's down to you to manage it yourself. All right. Mentally, how to heal yourself comes from understanding. If you're dealing with a particular situation, letters let you understand things. Speak to people as well. That's why it's got peak and speak, right? On the topic, not just speak to people because, well, it gives an outlet of energy, right? So speak on the topic, listen to people, take in as much information as is relevant to the area that you're struggling in. Then find your own pathway through. So you've got all of this information. This is all relevant to the topic, right? And you've got loads of people. Let's do this. Look. Each one of them squares is a person with their own opinion about what you should do or how to fix the perception that you've got, right? Now, if you try and do everything that they say, this is the start of your problem, and this is the finish of your problem. You're just going to be running around in circles, running around in circles, running around in squares, you're going to be a bit confused. So what you do is you take pieces, you listen to it all, and then you take some time, step back, step away from the topic that you're dealing with. You can't see it properly, you can't see the end if you're stuck in one of these squares, right? You have to step away. It might only be for a really short space of time, right? It may be for a longer period of time, right? But what I'm saying is, there is no time limit on healing yourself properly. I'll say that twice because it's worth it. There is no time limit on healing yourself properly. All of these other people are going to think there is. for you, because people like to tell other people what to do and how they should do it and how you should get fixed and how you do all this, right? But for you, you know you, and you know when you're feeling worse or when you're feeling better. So what you do is all of this information that you've got, right, that you've read up on, right, what happens is when you take a step back and you look at that from a distance, there's certain areas that will start to make sense, right? Other parts of information will sort of like fall away and you'll go, oh yeah, all right, I get what they're saying, but it's not really applicable to me. And then what happens, right, is you start to see your path, right? And then you walk it. That's when you take that journey. When you see somebody else's path can be different, depending on their experience, right? Depending on their life, their perception, what they understand, right? So if there's a mental problem, read up, do some research, right? Step away from the vehicle, step away from the area that you are struggling with to understand. It's the mental perception, okay? Then you'll see your path developing, right? Then you walk the path. Now that's similar to the emotions, although with the emotions you don't sort of reach out to read everything, and you look in. With emotional reactions, you have to start mapping out the things that, if it's an anger thing, if you're dealing with anger issues, if you're dealing with upset, which is similar because some things that upset you, that make you sort of angry, whether it's a relationship, a situation you're in, but it's also the things that, this is your sort of like happy medium, which is why it's called medium, because it's in the middle, right? That's why they're called mediums, because they see things, right? And that's why it's called sea level, right? Valleys, mountains, sea level. Right, so this is your happy medium, sort of where you want to emotionally have your sort of life. Some things pique you up, right? Get you fired up. Excitement can be that, but that's sort of excitement comes halfway up to like trauma, right? For different ways. I won't say too much. Try and keep it simple, right? Sea level, mountains, valleys, right? Valleys are more depression, right? In this particular example. So you've got to understand what it is that's pushing you out of your, or pulling you, right, out of your happy medium, right? And you've got to, this is where honesty comes in. This is where honesty with yourself comes in. Again, you'll get this sort of like map of, as soon as you tell somebody that you've got a problem, right, they think they know what you should do. So you're going to get all of these people who sort of, have got opinions and things. So what happens is, you'll get all them, but you'll also get your own. Within that, there'll be some things that are actually ring true within yourself, right? The honesty. Got to be honest with yourself. You can lie to yourself. You might make a little bit of progress, but you're not really going to get back to your happy medium, because all you're going to do is sort of bring your situation down a little bit until you hit the next trigger, the next sort of like point on the map that you really, you know it's that, but you've not really been honest about it. It hits that sort of pressure point, right? And you're going to be back up again, stressed and breaking and all that sort of thing. So you have to be honest with yourself. Or find somebody that you can speak to and be honest with, who's not going to tell you what you should do. That's why people go to counsellors and things like that, because they learn certain strategies and techniques and questions on how to talk to you without telling you. When you say something, these certain things within that you can recognise and sort of mirror back and sort of tell people what they've said in a different sort of way. And that's something that you learn. All right? You can learn to do that. So I've done that. Okay, so you populating that, and the quicker you heal depends on how honest you can be. But also, as with any other sort of journey, right, is actually walking the path. So if you know that, let's say, a relationship with a person, whether it be partner, friends, work, whatever, if something's regularly sort of like causing you emotional turmoil, you might have to remove that particular factor, change your lifestyle a little bit, change your life, maybe get a bit busier, maybe get a bit quieter. Do the things that are actually going to make a difference in your life as an individual, because as an individual, see, this is the thing, people are worried about what other people think and what society puts on them, and look, society is made up of individuals, right? And if you don't look after yourself as an individual, eventually that just leads to cracks in society, just cracking up, right? You know, you have to know what up is. So populate your map honestly. Take a little bit of time out from that. Calm your emotions back to your happy medium, right? Another sort of point on that is that when you're in a high emotional state, you don't tend to think as efficiently, because the chemical reactions and the stressors sort of block pathways, information pathways, and yeah. So that's why sometimes when you get emotional and then afterwards you go, oh, why did I say that? I didn't really, you felt it. You didn't really think it'd help, but you felt it so much that it just spilled out. And that's the thing, is because, in the delivery between the thinking and the feeling, right, it's who's going to get there first. And when you can sort of like combine them both, and then you can speak your truth in a good way. Okay, so physically, well, I don't know if we're going to go over it again too much. Watch the video again if you like. These are the ways to heal yourself mentally, emotionally, physically. And I know they are, because I've done it. I've done each of them multiple times. Got good at it. And that's the thing, you see, is the more you actually do this, the better you get. You don't have to start at level sort of 1. Once you've learned and you've cemented in the particular segment of level 1, level 2, level 3, well, then you go straight through really quickly. You can jump in at level 4, 5, 6. And like I said, we use numbers to understand the different sort of, to measure. Right, there you go. I share these because I just don't think it's going to actually make a difference to individual lives, because the individual people are what make the collection. If you don't look after yourself as an individual, and if the regulatory bodies and people who sort of like manage society and govern societies, if they don't look after the individuals properly, right, in this sort of way, and if there's too much pressure, then it has knock-on effects to any society that is made up of individuals. And anybody who puts individuals under pressure, you have to really think, what are they trying to do? So there we go. Hope that really helps you.